a tribute to my mother, who this was one of her favorite messages of mine, one that I think I preached very early in my ministry, not too soon after I preached my initial or gave my initial sermon that I give this message in some form or another. So let your hair down. The record tells us that it is 6 days before the Passover, and Jesus comes to Bethany, and he comes to the house where Lazarus actually lived. And this man is the man he had just called out of the grave. And his family and friends are throwing him a supper, a dinner party. And the Bible tells us that Martha, his sister, is there, and she's serving, because that is who Martha is. Let me take that back. That is not who Martha is. That is what Martha does. Martha is more than what she does. She is Martha, child of God. And what we have to be careful of is that we don't confuse and we don't necessarily equate what we do with who we are. So the Bible tells us that Mary, his sister, walks in, and she's carrying a pound of pure nard, spikenard, that is costly. And the Bible tells us that it's worth nearly a year's wages, and it's sealed in a container, an alabaster box. And without one word spoken, she breaks it open, and she begins to pour it out on the feet of Jesus. And then if we were to watch her, we see that she does something that is, it trips us. It says that she takes down her hair. The world in which she lived at the time, a woman did not unbind her hair in public, because this was a very intimate act. Her hair was her glory. So for her to unbind her hair and let it down in public, it was reckless. It was the kind of thing that would get a woman talked about for centuries, for generations rather. And Mary lets it down anyhow. She lets down her hair. She unbinds. She does the unthinkable thing. And she kneels, it tells us, and she begins to wipe his feet with the very thing that is her glory. If we're going to give God our best and serve him, not comfortably or conveniently, but if we're going to love radically, we have to first and foremost let it down. Let whatever it is down that we've been holding up. Mary let down her hair, but that is not all she let down. She let down her reputation. She let down the careful, measured, and respectable way that most of us were taught how to come to God. Sometimes we are taught that we come to God very, very, very poised, hands folded, humbly, with our voice low, always keeping a little something in reserve just in case we will need it later. But this Mary, she kept nothing in reserve. She did not dab a little here and a little there and then recork that bottle for later. The Bible says she emptied it. She let it all go, because you cannot give God your best with a clenched fist. Worship is not a tip that you leave on the table. Worship, true worship, is all about total surrender. And there might be somebody in that room, there was somebody in that room that watched her do it and decided that she had lost her mind. She lost her ever-loving mind. But I've come to tell someone today that the people who love radically always look crazy to the people who love carefully. The people who love radically always look a little off, a little peculiar, a little weird to the people who love carefully and comfortably and conveniently. I thank God for my mother. She gave me an example because she knew how to let it down. My mother was a woman who loved like Mary loved. She loved without receipt. She loved without a cap, without a ceiling, without first checking whether the person in front of her had earned her love. No, she just loved. And that is the first mark of a radical lover. They pour before it makes sense.